Money Vikings. All right, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me. Money Viking G here. I got a special one for you today, and a happy Sunday to you. God bless you all out there. Thank you very much for checking out the Money Vikings channel and YouTube, and for checking out the book that is selling quite well, True the Wealth, the Money Viking Way. Right there, I'll put a link below, available on Amazon. I wanted to talk about a section in here. So overall, I wanted to talk about how this book can be used as a kind of Swiss Army knife to build wealth. And what do I mean by that? So this is a book that I would like people to use as a tool. And the tool and the job that you are quote unquote repairing and fixing is your finances and your ability to build wealth. So this is the tool that you use to build wealth. And what do I mean by that? So, you know, what I would do, what I've done with some of my favorite books over the years on personal finance is I'll dog ear them and I'll tag them and I'll go back to the sections that I really like. So I mentioned before, I really early on, 20 plus years ago, enjoyed this book called Ordinary People, Extraordinary Wealth. One of the reasons I enjoyed this book and this book inspired me so much is that I realized that people from the middle class like myself could actually build wealth. And you have to understand how kind of radical that was for a kid that grew up in the 80s. So there used to be a show called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And this show would show these very, very wealthy people, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars, super yachts, all over the planet. And you'd kind of sit there as a middle class person and you'd look at it and you'd go, wow, yeah, but how would I ever do anything like that? It just seemed very, you know, it was intriguing to watch, but it was such a fantasy. And so then you kind of, you know, you get into the real world and you get a job and you start working, but you realize ordinary people can also build wealth. And that was what I really, really took from this book, and I would go back to it for inspiration. So I'm hoping that my book becomes that for a new generation of people. So Wealth the Money Viking Way is a tool for the middle class to build wealth. And I'll give you an example. You know, you can go into like chapter it doesn't matter, around chapter 5. Chapter 5 has tips on slaying the consumerism dragon. What does this mean? This means becoming more than just a consumer and a worker. This means, you know, we're obviously going to be workers. We're obviously going to be consumers. We all are in some way. That's part of life. But then we also want to add a couple of other roles. We also want to be investors and owners and creators. So and that can take many different forms. When I'm saying creator, I don't mean necessarily an artist, although it could be being an artist, but you're creating some kind of value and you're selling it on the marketplace, however you might do that. The owner part of it and investor part of it is owning a slice of the ownership or the equity of the American economy and the broader investing equity markets. And so I talk about that in here. But I also have things like, you know, a person might be wondering, well, how much do I need to save every month and invest in order to become a millionaire, have $1 million in 20 years? Let's say you want to be really aggressive about it and you wanted to get up $1 million in 20 years, right? Well, you basically save, it's right here. It's right here. You would save that much per month. It's about $1,380 per month in an account that is able to gain interest and gain value every year and have those dividends reinvested, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the kind of inspiration that's in here that, you know, that you can take. There's other things I talk about. I talk about the investing trifecta and what that means. It's in the book. It's harnessing the power of things, of automation, habits, and math in order to make your wealth grow faster. And so there's that in the book. There's just a lot in here. There's, you know, ways to address and to approach real estate. There's ways to invest in bonds. You know, I call them my investing longboats to keep with the Viking theme. And you're going to have these longboats because they're your long journey to wealth. And again, this is not a gimmicky thing. This is a book that is based on 25 years of investing, real world, middle class investing, research, and actually realizing what works and what doesn't work. A lot of it by trial and error. You know, I tried things like the penny stocks. I tried things like the day trading. I tried the individual stocks. I tried the things that actually get 90% of people in trouble. Yes, on the internet, you're going to see the 10% that pulled off the win and this or that, or the example of things that, you know, early adopters of Bitcoin. You know, you're going to see those examples on the internet, but you just have to realize that there's a certain level of luck that has come with those situations. It doesn't mean that you won't have your own luck, but what I would say is, you know, I've had times where I've been lucky, and I've been able to capitalize on lucky situations. But at the same time, I've had very practical, foundationally oriented practices in place that are going to help you build wealth, and they are all in the book. So check it out below. There's a ebook version, or if you're like me and you're old school and you like the actual paper version on your shelf, or your desk at work, or in your home office, or whatever, you know, it's kind of nice to have a paper book. You can go back to it. And the paper book, well, the ebook has it as well. There's all kinds of drawings and infographics that I built and made and designed that teach us about things like dollar cost averaging. Let's see what's the next one on here. Money rules of thumb. It's the top 5 rules of thumb. What else? There's how to reach $1 million. There's top ways to master investing emotions. These are all infographics that make the information just sort of very, you know, straightforward, kind of fun, kind of visually appealing, something kind of different to look at. There's even some of my artwork in the back here in the section on family. There is a painting that I sold at a gallery years ago. It's a copy of it. So there's all kinds of stuff like that. So check it out. Thanks for watching, folks. Please like, subscribe, all that great stuff. See you in the next one. Bye.